Hello, welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we'll look at another very useful mod that's going to be great for custom missiles, concealed weaponry, or even an emergency escape hatch to use on a ship or a base to well use in an emergency. So these two things you see sitting right behind me are called the maintenance access hatches, which are basically gigantic versions of the regular access hatches. So if I zoom away here, there's the vanilla one sitting right on the very top right. And what separates these from the small one is that you can walk through them and objects can pass through them, so you can use them as a doorway, or like I said, as a hatch to open up to allow missiles to fire through, to allow weapons to fire through, and well, anything you can think of. To grab and hold my character coming up to this one, this is the first of two. With this one, we can simply click on it to open up like a regular doorway. That one will have to be done by a button or through the access panel, but we'll see that in just a moment. Yes, we can walk through, close up right behind me, and there we are. It's just simply a access panel door, which is completely airtight. If we look up here, we see the air vents are pumping out all the oxygen inside this little room. And well, we're now perfectly airtight inside here. We just walk out through this one by pressing this button. But I'm not going to do that just yet. We're going to come back through here. There we go. And we're going to walk around to this side. So yes, this one cannot come up to it and click on it to open up. We simply have to come into a terminal, press a button or whatever you want to have set up. Don't think I have set this button up correctly. There we go. And there we are. Now open that up. Come on through. Of course, we cannot close it up. We need to use something else. Let's come into this button panel. And there we are with that one. And that is basically all this mod does in its current state. It's a very short and very sweet thing, which you could get a lot of use out of due to the fact that the access panels take up very little room. So with the thing with a lot of ships that use custom missiles or concealed weaponry, they tend to have doorways in front of them, these standard sliding doorways, which will have to sit in this gap right here. So the doorways be here, and the custom missiles will be sitting on the block behind it. But with the access panel mod, you now have the missile sitting right up against this thing, so when it opens up to fire, there we are, it can now just launch straight out in a much more compact fashion, rather than having to make room for the doorways, which have to sit inside the block. Close that up. There we are. And of course there's a standard access panel up there. Of course you cannot walk through this one, it's purely vanilla, but you can still access stuff behind it as per usual. But no, simply these two large ones to get added, which you can walk through and have stuff pass through. But anyway, before we go any further, pressing G, finding them in the spawn menu, here we are. So here's all the vanilla access panels, and here's the two modded ones on the very edge. Just over here, looking at that one, they are very cheap to build, as well as these ones. They're not too bad built, but they are a bit more expensive than you would think from an access panel. And they do come with a small block version to use on small block ships, small block bases, or even as an internal structure on a large block ship, say using a rotor to attach on a small grid onto a large ship. You use this on that section if you want to do that, if you don't want to use the large block versions. Nonetheless, they do cost the exact same, both of these cost the exact same, and well, once again, the only difference separating these is one can be clicked on to open up, the other one has to be done in a terminal or added to a bump panel or a sensor, and all of that. Yes, that's its cost, that's what we can do. One final thing to do with this mod is to change the colouring, and well, it's going to be basically identical to the vanilla access panel, where I bring up a block, that'll do quite nicely. I'm going to cycle through some colours, and there was standard clean skin. Come into here, change it to say the glamour skin. There we are, no changes for that one, perfectly fine compared to the vanilla one up there. And let's go and do another one, let's go and do this one, the woodland camo. So all through that. There we are. And then finally we're going to go through the hazard, because that one's usually the fiddly one that doesn't always show up on blocks. So pressing OK. And well, that is to be expected. We're simply going to change it to the standard skin, changing through all the colours, but no hazard is going to be seen. Moving up slightly. And that is identical to the vanilla block. And with that, that's pretty much it for this mod, all it has to offer. Like I said, it's a very short, very sweet mod that's so incredibly useful that, well, I wouldn't be surprised to see this be added in to the vanilla game in the future, or at least have the original blocks updated to allow stuff to pass through, because even with this smaller block up here, that'll still be perfectly fine for a concealed weapon, or even a very tiny missile, although it would be quite dodgy passing through here, especially if you are moving fast on a ship, very easy to hit into the edges. So having these larger ones is going to be a lot more better and a lot more safer for firing out custom missiles. But as I said, that's out for this video, that's out for this mod. All you can do with it in its current state. There will be other blocks added this in the future, or at least that's what's said on the Steam Workshop page. So be linked to it, description below. Do you wish to download and play it yourself? Highly recommend you do. And I'll be back with another video, hopefully in Space Engineers 2 for Vertical Slice 1.2. So have a gander of what's going on with that. Anyway, yes, thank you all for watching. Bye bye.